Hello everyone. I'm Dr. Nilakshi Jain on behalf of Shayan Anchor Kachi Engineering College, Mumbai, India welcomes you all in hybrid webinar series Innovative and Emerging Technology in Field of Research. This webinar series is hosted with 25 plus national and international collaborators. And today, I am very glad that today our in-house faculties, our own college faculties who are going to take session on patents. And we have one more surprise packet which will be disclosed by our moderator, Professor Bhushan Pawar sir. So I'll request Bhushan sir to start the session with the introduction of speakers. Bhushan sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the introduction. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Uh, I, Bhushan Pawar, welcome you all on behalf of Shanagar Kutch Engineering College, Mumbai, India. We at Sakek Research Cell would take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you present here today for this hybrid webinar series, Innovative and Emerging Technology in the Field of Research, in collaboration with all our partners. So today I am addressing you to the webinar on patenting for all. The speaker for the webinar is Professor Dhanashree Toranmal. Professor Dhanashree Toranmal is Associate Professor in Information Technology. She is an active member of IPR Cell at SAKE. She has an 17 years of experience. Before handing over to our speaker, I would like to make a note to all my participants that if you have any queries or you want to ask any question to our speaker throughout the session, you can ask it via question answer chat box. Most most frequently questions will be asked at the end of the talk. So I'm request speaker kindly share your screen with all the participants. Hello.
Yes, Bhushan sir. I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Thank you, sir.
Ma'am, please share your screen.
Yes, sir. I just shared my screen. Is my screen visible, sir?
Yes, ma'am, but your video is not.
Yeah. I've just kept my video off.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Ma'am, can you minimize that right side window?
Yes, I'll do. I'll do. Yes, sir. Can I start now?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Bhushan sir. A very hearty welcome to all of you. I'm Dhanashri Toranmal, an associate professor at Shan Ankar Kachi Engineering College. As mentioned by Professor Bhushan, yes, we are an active member of the research cell and the IPR cell, that is the intellectual property cell, which has been established in the year 2019 at our college by our visionary principal, Dr. Bhagesh Patel. So before I start my session, I would like to thank our management who's always been encouraging the principal as well as the faculty members in innovative or to devise new activities for encouraging both the faculty as well as students. As well as I'm thankful to the research cell to give me an opportunity to present the IPR cell work on a platform where we have a very good and active audience like you. So let me take this privilege to start my session now. So I will be talking about patents. I want all of you to just have a glance and see what the picture talks about. It's just another school day in Akenhawk, a rural community in the semi-arid eastern part of South Africa. What we see is children shrieking with laughter as they whirled each other around on a colorful merry-go-round. But there is more to the scene that meets the eye. 40 meters underground, each turn of the merry-go-round powers a pump. At 16 rotations per minute, it pumps water effortlessly to a 2,500 liter storage tank that supplies needs to the entire community just at the turn of a tap. What you see above is a storage tank above the heads of the children. It displays four billboards. These carry educational, public health, and HIV/AIDS prevention messages, as well as commercial advertising, which generates enough funds for the maintenance of the system. So, yes, it is an invention. This idea was first dreamt by an engineer who was a bore driller, Mr. Ronnie Stewart. His job was to travel the entire country to dig holes, bore wells. Whenever he used to travel, what he observed was, since he used to travel in rural areas, the children there are not very privileged to have a lot of gardens or parks to play. So the children were very fascinated about what Mr. Stewart was doing. He thought that these boundless energy of these children could be actually used, and he devised a merry-go-round attached to a simple pump. It worked. The prototype of this device was put on a display on an agricultural fair in the year 1989. But as I said, it's just not the idea and invention. You need a vision, an entrepreneurial vision to commercialize any product. So it took the entrepreneurial vision of an advertising executive, Mr. Trevor Field, to transform this ingenious invention into an innovative, sustainable solution to one of the region's most pressing problems. That was poor supply of clean water. Mr. Field happened to visit the fair where he saw Mr. Stewart's pump. They collaborated with each other and they developed and patented a trademark called as Play Pump Water System. In order to commercialize the Play Pump Water System, they established a company called as Roundabout Outdoor. For many years, the venture was very small. But in the year 1999, President Nelson Mandela opened a school with a play pump merry-go-round. He took a spin on one of them. The press photographs captured the imagination of the donors and investors. And in the year 2000, Roundabout Outdoor won the World Bank Development Marketplace Award, which brought extra visibility and generated new funds. By 2008, there were about 1,000 play pump systems which had been installed in disadvantaged communities across South Africa. There was a change in the lives of people. Each family, which lived in corrugated huts, now had a vegetable garden. Laundry hung outside their homes. Schools started constructing greenhouses to make it independent of sporadic donations on which the school meals used to depend on. With cabbages, spinach, and beans to supplement the maize diet, the children's nutrition improved. The economic and social impact reached further. Clean water prevented diseases which kept students from school and parents from work. Now girls had time to go to school because they did not have to carry water. Women elders started some small craft businesses. Chicken raising was started because now there was food for chicken as well as the cages could be kept clean. So I feel that the small change, a very small initiative that we see could lead to a very, very big change into the lives of people. Today, many developing countries with moderate research activities, what they suffer from is an innovation chasm because they fail to bridge a gap between knowledge generation and knowledge application. The story of Play Pump depicts how a small initiative can be very effective in bridging the gap to bring technology to communities and transform the lives of millions of people. With this positive note that any invention, when commercialized in the right direction, will change many lives, will change the life of a country and the world as a whole. With this positive introduction, I'd like to start and introduce what we understand by patents, what are the different types of patents, and what are different approaches or the different processes which need to be followed while we go ahead with patenting. So this innovation that you see as a child's play is the actual system which was developed by Mr. Stewart, was patented in the year 2010 in the USPTO. Let us come to the topic as to what are patents. Patents are nothing but exclusive rights which a government grants to the person who is filing for the patent. So the person who files for the patent is called as a patentee. We are exclusively talking about Indian Patent Acts. So under the Indian Patents Act, when you file for a patent, from the date of filing, your, your patent is alive or granted for the next 20 years. Majorly, a patent is filed for commercial gain. Definitely, when you are filing in your invention, you need to disclose the entire information with respect to your invention. And very importantly, a patent has a territorial jurisdiction. What I mean by this is that when a patent is filed for a particular country, it is active to that particular nation and it's not a worldwide patent. Now the question arises is, can you patent an idea? We have a lot of people who sit and there are millions, tons of ideas coming up in our head at a given time. At times we feel, that this is the idea probably and the first person, who have this idea. So can you patent ideas? Can you just go on patenting ideas? You cannot just patent ideas. Not patent an idea for an invention. So what do we do then? An idea needs to be supported by supplementary processes, supplementary evidence in order to prove that it is feasible enough to reproduce or manufacture. So definitely, while all inventions start with an idea, not every idea can be called as an invention. What do we understand by a patentable invention then? So if we say that not all ideas can be patented, so if I want to patent an invention, what is the category? How do you define a patentable invention? Again, under the Indian Patents Act 1970, an invention means there are three preliminary categories. A patentable invention should have an inventive step, something new which has been known by anybody in that particular field, or it has not been published anywhere. There is no literature available with that particular invention. Secondly, it should be capable of being made, being reproduced, or being manufactured. What we talk about here is feasibility of production of that particular material. And third, it should be used in the industry. I cannot have an invention made and keep it closed in my cupboard or at home. I need to commercialize it. It has to be used by people. So I can define a patentable invention as any product or process which has an inventive step, is capable of being made, and is used in the industry. So if this is what I mean by a patentable, I can define, I can explore patentable, like what can be patented. So I just can't say, I have an idea and I want to patent it. I need to first confirm whether this idea can be patented or not. So under the Indian Patents Act, again, there are 4 different conditions as to when we can go in for a particular patent, when an invention goes for a patent. The first category says that whatever you want to patent should be a patentable subject matter as per the section 3 and 4. So you have the Indian Patent Acts, which is gross of different sections, and section 3 and 4 explicitly mention what can be patented and what cannot be patented. So here we will explore what section 3 talks about. With section 4, it is exclusively based on atomic energy. So anything with respect to atomic energy cannot be patented by an individual, because that comes under the jurisdiction of safety of the nation. So with section 3, then what can be patented? Anything which comes under section 3 is non-patentable. You cannot go ahead and patent that. Factor is novelty. Novelty is defined as something new, which is not only new for me, but it is new for everybody. What I'm trying to say here is that novelty means that nothing of this particular invention has ever been published anywhere. There is no domain where there is a document, there is a mention of the invention that I'm trying to file a patent for. There is nothing available in the public domain. It is how novelty is. That is how a novel or an invention can be called as a novel invention. Inventive step or non-obviousness. So if I am trying to patent something, it should definitely have an inventive step. I may go ahead and I may want to patent a new type of pen. Now pen is something which is not a new device. Everybody knows about how a pen is. If you remember, when these new cushion pens came, remember we did not have a grip to the pens first. It was very hard in writing. And later on, there were the specific pen company came up with pens which had this cushion where you actually hold the pen. So pen is something which is not a novelty actually. It is just a pen. So I am not trying to file a patent for a pen. I am trying to file a patent for the cushion which gives me comfort when I'm writing. Okay. So some technical advance to something which is already existing can be patented. So an inventive step is what I mean by inventive step here is that it should not be obvious initially. You are trying to give in a technical advance, which definitely, so having a technical advance should give in some economic significance both to the maker of the invention and the people who are going to use it. So such type, so novelty, there should be an inventive step, and definitely it should have industrial application. Anything which cannot be commercialized, there is no need for patenting it. So we can conclude that a patentable invention is that which does not fall into the categories of section 3 and 4. We will talk about section 3 in detail. Secondly, it should be novel, new. Next, third, it should be non-obvious. And fourth is that it should be capable of an industrial application. So if I have an idea, I have a process, I need to first ask myself these four different points, that whether my invention, which I'm trying to file or I'm thinking to file a patent for, does it fall into these four categories. Only then I can say that yes, it is a patentable invention. What is non-patentable? As we discussed that in section 3 of the Indian Patent Act, anything which is frivolous, anything which is contrary to the established laws is not patentable. So we will see section 3 in detail. What do we understand by the products, or what do we understand by the constraints for a particular device where we say that it is non-inventable or non-patentable. So section 3 has different phases. With the part A, it means that an invention which is frivolous or contrary to well-established natural laws. There are already natural laws present, laws of gravity, laws of time. I cannot propose something which is contrary or an antithesis to the well-established natural laws. For example, as I said, we all know our day is of 24 hours. Every the clock will have 12 hours. So I cannot go ahead and make a clock of having 10 hours and I say, okay, my every hour is divided by 100 minutes. It's a frivolous thing, right? So I cannot go ahead and invent something like this. B states that anything or an invention which is not in line with the public order, or it is harmful, or it just poses a serious prejudice to human life, to animal life, or plant life, anything which is harmful or poses a danger to the human life, the natural laws cannot be invented. I cannot make or invent a method or a process to break lockers in a bank, and I cannot go ahead and patent it because it's harmful. It is the opposition to the moral laws, the ethical laws. So such things cannot be patented. A mere discovery of an abstract theory or discovery of any living thing or non-living substance which is already present in nature. As I said, I cannot discover the theory of gravitation. I just cannot discover something which is with respect to a living thing or state, that non-living things cannot breathe. I cannot go ahead and patent something like this because it's already known. Fourth, that is D, mere discovery of any new property or a new use of a known substance. So most of the substances have their inherent properties, which we all know about. For example, turmeric, haldi. It is used for cooking food. When you're hurt, if there's nothing, you use haldi as an antibiotic. Your mother or someone at home will definitely first put that turmeric powder on your heel, okay, to heal it. So these are things which I already know because I know that turmeric has antibiotic properties. So just stating that okay, now turmeric can be used in face packs also, as a means to clean your face. I cannot put it as a patentable invention because it already has those inherent properties. They are known to people, and just some additional properties of haldi. So I know I can put it on face, and now I can say, okay, now turmeric can be applied to your feet as well for a process of pedicure. No, I cannot go ahead and invent or patent such type of a product also. Next is he states that a substance which is obtained by just an addition or aggregation of some components which will produce a new substance. So already inherent properties of those substances are known. Just the process of admixturing them in certain proportions and saying, adding this by 30% or this by 20% and mixing them together will produce something, a new substance which will have this effect. No, such type of admixtures cannot be patented. Point F claims that just arrangement and rearrangement of devices. For instance, you may have your watch, right? It is made up of a lot of components. I try to just rearrange those components in some another manner, and I say, no, this is a new type of a design that I'm trying to say or given. But it's just a mere arrangement that you have done or a rearrangement of the same components in the same space. You just try to put it in a different manner. So these things cannot be patented. Any method of agriculture or horticulture, no, you cannot patent it here because anything which is with respect to agriculture and horticulture, we have a different type of an intellectual property which actually talks about biodiversity. So that's a separate area altogether. So that cannot be patented. Next point, H talks about a process. So you have a lot of medical processes, surgical processes, how a particular apparatus or a medical apparatus can be used for a diagnostic purpose, for therapeutic purpose. Now, if these devices, you are trying to modify these devices just for a particular economic value and not keeping in mind about how harmful such type of apparatus or diagnostic method or therapeutic method could be for the lives of people. In such cases, these types of components cannot be patented. Next, H talks about plants and animals either as a whole, a part, or we can say microorganisms. So when I'm talking about plants and animals, we talk about all the different species in the plants and animals, and starting from their basic microorganisms to their seeds and the biological processes. As I just mentioned in the previous point, that anything which is with respect to microorganisms or plants and animals, we completely look after this entire section as a different intellectual property altogether, which comes under the biodiversity part. So that all those components cannot be patented. Next point, I talks about a mathematical model or a business method. So something which has worked in my business, probably which has incurred profits for me, some strategies that I have developed over a period of time. I have proof of my own data that how this has worked for me. But I cannot patent such type of policies, such type of methods. Point J talks about a computer program or algorithm. So we know that any one particular activity or any one particular task can be performed in different languages, in different styles of algorithms. So different styles or different algorithms cannot be patented. Definitely. I would like to make a point and I mention here that if you check Google patents, there are a lot of patents today which have been given to Google for different types of algorithms. But what I want to mention here is if we see the working of those algorithms, they need some suppository or some supportive hardware, or they need a supportive database where they have seen these changes. So definitely point J cannot be completely eliminated, but the conditions on which a particular code is patented requires very much supportive hardware, databases, or processes in place to be patented. Point K talks about anything which is related to music, art. I composed a poem, I wrote a story, I made a sculpture. So all these things cannot be patented. These come under the category of creativity or cinematographic work, what we call them. So there is again an exclusive intellectual property called as copyrights, which takes care of this very well. So in case you have any literature material, any dramatic material, any musical notes that you have prepared, a new song that you've written, some music that you've composed, all of this goes under the section of copyrights. Point L talks about I made some mental act of playing a game. So you have Uno cards and you've just hacked a method in your own style. You've experienced. Okay, these cards come and I make these three, four acts. Yes, I'm bound to win. So these cannot be patented. Any mental activity that you have done, like probably a method of study. I learned a two-page answer, and this two-page answer, I had a method to learn this two-page answer. I made some shortcuts and some abbreviations to some difficult words. I made some highlights. I made some pictorial representation. So all these mental methods or methods of playing a game, all these things cannot be patented. Next is just mere presentation of information like databases or tables, even those cannot be patented. Again, this contradicts if you feel what I've talked about algorithms, where I mentioned databases. Databases here in point M explicitly talks about just a presentation in the form of a table where you're putting attributes and you're putting a list of entries pertaining to those attributes. So just mere presentation will not work as patentable invention. As I said, at Google Patents, you have the algorithms which work very well on specific sets of databases with such specific computing or processing power. So there is a lot of combination which can be patented, but just mere presentation of information cannot be patented. Next, we come to point N, which talks about topography of integrated circuits. Again, there is an exclusive intellectual property for semiconductors or designs, which takes care of the integrated circuits. So, integrated circuits or their map or the design that you have made for an integrated circuits cannot be patented. Point O talks about some traditional knowledge which has been coming from over periods of years. So, of whose properties are already known, again, that cannot be patented. Like some traditional knowledge with respect to tulsi, I only know what are the inherent properties of tulsi or mint leaves. Some traditional knowledge of saying, that how a particular breathing asana may help you. So this is some traditional knowledge, or how the pose when you sit to have your food, when you sit to say your prayers. There are certain things which have come traditionally to us over a period of time, and we cannot patent them, right? Next point, P talks about exclusively with respect to atomic energy, anything which is with respect to the defense of the country. So these things cannot be patented by the individual. Section 4 exclusively talks about atomic energy and things which cannot be patented. So as an individual, when if I am going to, I put up a particular formula or a particular composition, which they feel that it is with respect to atomic energy, my patent definitely gets rejected. So these are so we just discussed section 3, where we talked about all the different points which cannot be patented. So even though I have an idea in any of these domains and may be very innovative to me, maybe the first time that I feel it is really going to be very helpful. But definitely, if you read these sections in details, you'll understand that these patent or these type of ideas are not patentable inventions. So in India, who can go ahead and file a patent? So patents can be filed by an individual, a natural person. He could either be an Indian by origin, or I could have a foreigner who can patent in India. Secondly, it could be a legal entity like a company. Again, the company could be an Indian established company, or the company could be a foreign established company. Third is small entities, which are nothing but small organizations which come under the MSMER Act. So these can go ahead and patent. And lastly, a startup which can be a combination. So I have a startup where I have a foreigner investing. I may have a startup which I may have, which is only mine. I may have a group of people. So these are the different four categories of applicants or patent applications can be proposed in these four categories. India, when we talk about patent, there are different places of office. So we have Mumbai, Chennai, New Delhi, and Kolkata. So we have different states which adhere to these offices for filing their patents. Now, where do we file a patent? Because today we are in a scenario that I may be working in Mumbai, but probably my domicile is not from Mumbai. I may have my domicile in some other state. Because people are moving for work, people are moving for education. So, how does it matter? Where do I find a patent? Where I'm working, where I'm studying, or where I stay, or where my business is. So, territorial jurisdiction of patent offices are based on certain categories. The appropriate office could be first could be the place of residence of the person, or it could be the domicile where he is a resident for a period of 10 to 15 years if he has a domicile certificate, or it could be the place of business that the person is doing his work in. So he could be born, brought up, his domicile could be another state, but he could be doing his business in some other state altogether. So these are the three different categories that a person of Indian origin, of Indian national, can file his patent to. Then, secondly, could be the place from where the invention actually originated. So it may not be my birthplace, it may not be the place where I have taken my education and where I'm working. So that could be the place where the invention has actually originated. So I need to see which office or the HO I am affiliated to for filing my invention. And the address of service. Now, explicitly, when we talk about foreign applicants, so they are not based in India, but they need to an application form whenever they are filling up. So they don't have a place of business or domicile in India. At that place, at that time, they should have an address where they can show this as an address of work or an address of service or an address of correspondence in India. So these type of applications should definitely mention those type of addresses in India for all of their correspondence with respect to the patent. Now let us talk about what are the different types of patent applications, which is really very important. Uh, Different types of patent applications have different types of forms. They adhere to different types of fees. All the detailed information is given on the Indian Patent IP. If you go to the Indian Patent website, you will see that there is all amount of information given here. Let us talk about and discuss what are the different types of patent applications. Type of application is called as an ordinary application or a non-provisional application. What this means is that you haven't made a reference to any application, it's just a fresh application. You aren't trying to claim any other application, or you're not making a reference to some application which was filed earlier. Such type of an application which is very new in its own sense, complete in its own sense, which has its own complete specifications and claims, is called as an ordinary application. Here we come to this term, these two different terms called as complete specifications and claims, which is very important to understand. Whenever we are filing patents, I just mentioned an example of a pen. A pen is something which is not very new, right? So it's already known to a lot of people. But when the company came up with a pen with a cushion, so what is new here is a cushion in the pen. So I am not going ahead, or the patentee, the one who is filing for the patent, he doesn't file for the pen. He doesn't file the patent for the pen. He files the patent for the cushion, the soft equipment, which when held by the writer gives him comfort to his fingers. So here we are trying to have the patent, or we are trying to claim the cushion and not the pen. So it's very important to understand what are you trying to claim. So claims are very important. Okay. Complete specification means complete information in every sense with respect to your claims. So I may have n number of claims for a particular pen. If my product is a pen, Not necessarily it's only the cushion. I could have a tip of the ball of the pen. Maybe probably I have made an innovative method way of the ball of the pen. So that is again the claim too. So we need to identify as to in the product that you are trying to patent, what are the different types of innovations that you're trying to claim the patent on. So nobody tomorrow is going to, have an objection to your pen, but they will have objection to the claims that you're trying to define. And an application which has no reference to any previous application, which is complete in its own sense with all the data required for the claims, is called as an ordinary or a non-provisional. Next is the provisional application. Now, what happens is that in real time also, a lot of innovation and research is going on. Sometimes what the inventor may feel is that, let me complete the entire thing and then I will go ahead and file a patent. Now what happens in this process is, for the task to be complete, it may take a very long period of time. By the time the person has come up with his product, there are already 10 different products which have been filed, the patents have been filed in the same direction. So an individual may lose his chance of getting the priority over the invention. At such times, what applicants do is, only when I have a general idea about, okay, this is an idea, I have some supportive material with respect to this, but I need to work more on this. And I don't know how much time it may take. It may take probably 1 month or 2 months, but definitely I am in the process of getting towards it. At such times, what is done is a provisional application is filed. What does a provisional application do? A provisional application marks your presence so that by the time you come up with the real or the complete specifications, nobody else is already come up with this idea and has patented that or filed a patent for that. So you set the priority date. It's as good as saying, when these small children play and you say to them, many I did it first, and you just don't know what to do about it. And then you try asking them, okay, who touched it first, and then who held it first. I mean, this is something that we try to do. So a provisional application helps you in this. It helps you to establish the date of filing over other people who may be working in the same area. So once a provisional application is filed, it may not give, you may not give the complete specification at that time, because you may not have a complete specification in the real sense. You may have only some data with respect to that particular product, and you are working on the other part in that particular direction. So it's a temporary application which is filed when the invention is not yet finalized and still under experimentation. What happens with this is that once I file a provisional application, where the applicant gets 12 months time to fully develop the invention and ascertain that what is its market potential. So these 12 months time when I with my provisional application, before the completion of these 12 months, it is mandatory for the applicant to submit the complete specification. Not adhering to this may completely abandon your or cancel out your provisional application also. So that care needs to be taken by the. So provisional specification cannot be disclosed completely on the paper because it has not attained the final stage. And the advantage of filing a provisional application is that it secures the priority date for the application over any other application which has been filed in the same invention which is being developed concurrently. So that was about provisional. The third type of application is called as a divisional patent application. So a divisional patent application, it actually refers to an application which was filed previously. So it may happen that a patent has been filed for a particular innovation. Over a period of time, the same person, he doesn't want to make complete change. He just wants to go ahead and add something which is already there, and add something new to what is which was already there, which is already patented. So it's not a completely new patent. It retains the parent filing date, and you are trying to put in a claim into this existing patent, which is called as a divisional application. Definitely, when you are trying to put in a new claim to an existing patent, a divisional application form is different, a division application process is different, a division application fees are different, the different types of infringement or the hearings are separate. So the divisional application is treated as a separate application because you're trying to put in a new claim to an existing filed patent. Either it could be a completely filed patent or probably that patent itself is in the process of being, but you are trying to make a reference to that parent filing, parent patent. So such type of an application is called as a divisional application. So as I said, that mostly divisional applications are done in cases where there is lack of unity in the invention. I cannot propose the invention as a whole. I will have to divide it into different modules, and every different module pertains to each other, refers to each other, but I cannot put them as one single patent. I need to have a divisional application, but every module, though as a whole it is a one unit, but when I'm trying to have claims, they are independent of each other. So such type of applications will go in for a split of the work of invention and will pertain to a divisional application. So as I said, the fees are different. There is separate request for examination which needs to be made. The prosecution has to be done separately. The results are independent, looked upon as an independent patent. That goes with our third type of application, which is a divisional application. Another is application for patent of addition. So that is division, where the entire patent is divided into a number of units. Here we talk about a patent which is there, and I am trying to now add something more to that patent. And that more is either an improvement or it could be a slight modification of the invention which is patented. So again, I have a parent patent. I want to do a slight modification or an addition or an improvement to it. I will have to file a form called as application for patent addition. Definitely, when your parent patent expires, your child patent expires with it. So patent of addition will have no value if the main patent expires. They expire together. A very important patent is called as PCT, which is called as Patent Cooperation Treaty. Now, what is a PCT? A Patent Cooperation Treaty is an international patent law which was concluded in 1970. Now, people want to go in for international patents. What we understand by international patent is a patent which is recognized outside your own country. Now, there are so many countries. It will be very unfeasible if I try to file an application in each of these countries. So I come up with a product. I don't know how its market could be in all of these countries. I won't find out how would be the market, but it's a very risk factor. I file patents in all the countries, and then I come to something which is working in a country A may not work for a country B. So I don't have this idea before. So PCT type of application helps me to do this. What PCT does is that you file just one international patent, and this patent application can be simultaneously sought protection for more number of countries. So PCT is a treaty which was signed, and there are about 142 plus countries actually which are governed by this treaty. I just file one PCT application and I'm open to 142 countries at the same time. That is what a PCT international application. We'll just understand this by this pictorial representation. So usually what happens is you file a local application, okay, and you get about 12 months time in order to an application to any country which is approved. The drawback of this method is for each and every individual country, I will have to file a separate international patent, where again the laws of patent are different from different countries, their processes are different, so I will have to adhere to them, each of these separately, which makes my task really very tough. and in the initial phases of my business where I really still don't know if my product will be useful in a country A or a country B or a country C, investing so much of time, so much of money, so much of energy is a big question. So such times what we do is we go in for a PCT type of filing. Again, so assuming I am a local applicant of Indian origin, so I file my patent in India. I have a 0 to 12, 13 months. So before 12 months, before my 12 months are complete, I will have to file a PCT application. Once I file a PCT application, I am open to 142 countries. So now with only one international application or one PCT application, I am open to international search reports, written opinion about my patents, because all of us know one thing is that when I'm filing a patent, initially my patent is open for everybody to see, for people to find out whether an infringement has to be done. If I try to copy somebody else's work, so people will, pose questions on those. So my patent is open for that. So now my patent can be searched not only in India, but an international search of my patent can be done. My patent is not only published in published material in India, but it has an international publication. If I want some more supplementary search, I can support that also. So all the international processes which take place in a patent can happen here, and they happen for a period of from 13 months to 30 months. This is a very wide open period where all these processes of searching, international search reports generation, international supplementary search reports generation, international publishing which happens. So it takes over a period from about 13 months to 30 months. This is where. Now this much time is very much sufficient for an inventor to analyze whether his product is used in a country A, it will do well, in a country B, it will do well, or a country C, it will do well. So this time, there are so many advantages to PCT application. At one time, I get an international application, patent application. Secondly, I'm open to about 142 plus countries where my patent can be searched, published, or researched again by so many people. Third, simultaneously, concurrently, it is giving me time to search or find out or validate where my work can be giving me more commercial success. Once I complete that, at the end of 30, before 30 months complete, so these are about 31 months complete, I enter the national phase. So here I was in the international phase. Now here I enter the national phase. So now here I had a big question, in the first phase, which country? So I needed to file a patent everywhere. Now in the national phase, I now am in the position, the inventor is in the position to find out, okay, my product will work well in a country A, so let me file my patent, a national patent for a country A. My patent or my product will work in a country B. So let me enter the market of the country B by filing a national patent for that particular country. So this is what we mean by a PCT application. One application giving you a pathway to so many different countries on an international platform, giving you time to decide over your product, and then towards the end of or before we complete the 31 months, it helps us to analyze and enter a particular national market for a particular country. Last but not the least is a convention application. What we understand by a convention application is that there is already an application which is being made, okay, in a particular country A by the same inventor. Okay, so talking about the PCT application. So I've already made an application in one country, and when I make one or more applications for different countries for the product, but I am trying to claim the same priority date. So that's very important here. Priority date is same, but application in different countries which is made for the same type of product is called as a convention application. Very important is that before you complete your 12 months of filing, you should see that similar applications are made in the convention countries also. So that was with respect to different types of applications, patenting applications. Let us just understand just how does the Indian Patent Office work. So if we see that there is an applicant who makes his patent application. You have different types and different categories of patents which are made. It could be chemical industry, mechanical industry, a lot of industries are there. So your application needs to be allocated to an examiner first by the controller. The controller himself sees that there are certain points which are not relevant, which are incomplete in your application, which need certain, or there are certain discrepancies. So there is something which is called as a pre-grant opposition proceeding, which needs to be done by the patentee. Once that is complete, then a classification is done, a detailed classification of your patent as to where your patent actually classifies to which domain, and then it goes in for a formal examination. A formal examination is wherein now your classified patent domain is thoroughly checked for all your claims and all your propositions that you've made. There is a technical examination which is done. At every step, definitely there is a lot of communication which happens between the patent office and the patentee. A report of the examiner is to be submitted to the controller. If the controller finds that the application is in order, the patent is granted. If no, it is referred back again for a formal examination and a technical examination. Once the report is reviewed by the controller, and if it is not in order until whatever date has been prescribed, there has to be hearings where the patentee needs to, it's just like a code of law where there are hearings which are held, and if objections are removed, fine. If they are not removed within that particular period of time and the objections still are sustained, the application is refused. If the entire process is complete by the review of controller, then a report of FER, SCR, OK report is given. If there are certain changes which have to be are requested by the controller, there are amendments which are being made to the applications. If the amendments are not made of the FER, they have to be done within a period of about 9 months from the FER, or else you have to go through the entire process again. If there is no response even after 9 months, then the application is abandoned. Of course, even after the application is abandoned for a particular amount of period of time, they keep it live. Again, you will have to request them to, relive your application. So each of this process here has different types of forms which the applicant needs to be filling. Every process has certain amount of fees which have to be paid. So if you see IP India, the website, which is completely up to date, so you will find the different types of forms and the fees with respect to each of these forms. So this was in a nutshell about the introduction to patents. What we have discussed are the applications, what is patentable, what is not patentable. The idea and the objective about this session was to just create an awareness amongst the audience that yes, patenting is really very critical today. Is not only critical with respect to an individual, it is also critical for a nation's growth. Today we are in a scenario where we see that we cannot only think as one individual as alone. We have to think about how our lives are interconnected to each other. COVID-19 definitely has given a lot of negative impact, but at the same time, there are a lot of things that we need to sit, analyze, and think that how all of us, maybe we are in different parts of the country or the world, but how we are connected. So just a small invisible virus has shown us that how lives of people are interconnected. So before we go ahead with anything that we want to patent, we definitely have to think about commercializing, but we also have to think about that how these innovations are changing the ways of life of people and how it is impacting the lives of people. So with this note, I would just say that wherever you are, stay positive, stay happy, stay safe, and put in all your efforts to the well-being of yourself as well as the nation as a whole. So again, I would like to thank my colleagues. I would like to thank the research cell for giving me this opportunity of presenting the work of the IPR cell at Saket. And thank you all of you. If there are any questions after the entire session of patenting that we are having, we would really like to answer all your questions. Parts which are related to or which talk about, I've usually taken part which talks about, what are patents. but there is a lot of literature survey which has to be done. Like I have an idea, I categorized, what has to be patented or what does not have to be patented, but I also need to search, So how do we search for patents, and what are the authorized literature which is available for patent search? So we have one of our colleagues and the chairperson of our IPR cell at SARCAIC who would be introducing these parts to all of you. With this note, I would like to thank a very good and an active audience. So thank you very much. Bhushan sir, I complete here. I hand over to you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the very informative session. I just wanted to know all the participants that we have two sessions back to back. So all the feedback links will be posted at the end of the session, and we have a question answer sessions at the end. So we have both the speaker with us, and they will answer you all the questions. Now it's a time for our surprise speaker. So I welcome Dr. Kranti Ghag ma'am. Kranti Ghag ma'am is with us right now. Okay. Kranti Ghag ma'am is assistant professor in information technology, SAKE, PhD at NMIMS in sentimental analysis. She is in charge of IPR cell, SAKE. She is an active member of research cell, SAKE. She has 16 years of experience. So I welcome Dr. Kranti Ghag ma'am, and please share your content with us.
Yes, sir, Bhushan sir. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
I think Dhanashri ma'am has to stop sharing.
Yeah.
Ma'am, you share the content.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Is this
ma'am.
visible?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Thank you, Bhushan sir, and everyone for a very generous introduction and giving me this opportunity to do the presentation. So I'm just sharing my screen and then go ahead. So I'm privileged to be a member of Research Cell as well as Intellectual Property Rights Cell of Chan Anchor Kachi Engineering College, which is a very reputed engineering institution in Mumbai and in Maharashtra. And this is our IPRC team. This is doing very good job for having more intellectual properties in the college. And my topic for the day is patent search. So as Dhanarshi ma'am mentioned, novelty is one of the most important aspect for patenting. So how do we come to know that whatever we are trying to file a patent for, is it really novel or is it already done? So typically when we are doing research, when we write research papers, we do a literature survey. This is something similar where you're trying to find out whether the patent, whatever I'm trying to patent, is it already patented? Is it someone already owning it? Or I am the first person to do it? So there are many patent databases which are available where we can search through it. One which I'm going to demo, popularly known, is the Patent Scope one. So you can just search for Patent Scope. This is a facility made available by WIPO, that is World Intellectual Property Right Organization. So a lot of countries came together and decided that we should have an organization which would work at the international level. So this is the patent scope database, which is brought to us through WIPO. So just you can search patent scope and then you can say access patent scope database. So while accessing this database, you can search any of the term that you want to file a patent for. Let us say I have made a study table. I'm taking very simple example because there are people from different domains, different backgrounds. So I'm not taking any specific example. So I am searching for a study table. So we come to know all the patents which are filed in different countries related to study table. So here is the patent number, a little bit of description about the patent, and there are many such patents. So yeah, the second one, third one, likewise. Okay, and you can see here, in short, you will come to know which country the patent is being filed. So this is from India. Then you have CN, that is China, China, China. Yes, if you have done little bit of statistics study, a lot of patents are being filed from China. Next is US. We are somewhere. India is little bit, in the race, but it has to take a lead. Yeah. So coming back to the first page, let us say if you want to open the patent, we can click on this and say open. So let us say take some more. Yeah, so sometimes you get a result which is not related also. Okay. So what we searched for was a study table and you're getting something which is psoriasis. So we can go for the next one. Yeah, so this is one of the applications that I'm trying to open. Here you can see something. You can see a diagram which is related to a study table. And then you'll have a description. All these are there. But the most important, like initially for seeing, you can see the drawings and understand what the object is or what sometimes even software. So you'll have all the algorithms over here in drawings. Very so quick view can be done through drawings. And then for having understanding the difference, the most important part is claims. When can you say your invention is novel? So if your claims do not match with claims of anyone, that is the time when you can say your invention is novel. Okay. So this is how you search it. There is description. This will have all the details about the patent being filed. So there is a description of the patents. There will be all the documents which are there related to patent. This will also give an idea what documents are needed in which country for filing a patent, and it's a very transparent system. So every notice that was even given by the patent office, every that is being put over here. So when you're writing patent claims, you will be looking at these claims and accordingly decide what should be there in your claims. What should be the patent claims is will be properly described by our speaker Asha Turafe madam. But I had kept this very short and sweet, looking at how to search for patents. This will be like more on hands-on. So if you search, you will come across different things where you can ask doubts, where you can discuss, and we can continue with this in the Q&A session. So with that's all, I would like to say thank you, and I give the control to Bhushan sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us on the patent searching. So thank you, ma'am, for the hands-on also that participant can. It's like a very wonderful search on the patent how to do it. Okay. So our next session, it's on a patent drafting. All you need to know. The speaker for the webinar is Professor Asha Durafe. Professor Asha Durafe is the Assistant Professor in Electronics Engineering Department. She is an active member of IPR Cell SAKE, Research Cell, and SAKE IIC 2.0. She has an academic experience of 16 years. So I request Asha Durafe ma'am to share a content with us.
Yes, sir.
Kranti ma'am, your video is on. Kranti ma'am. Kranti ma'am, kindly switch off.
So is it okay now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Can you minimize
Yeah,
that small
so
window down there on the right, bottom right side?
yeah,
There's a
yeah,
minimize button there.
yeah. Is it okay?
No, we still see it.
There is some network delay, I
Yeah, yeah,
think. I have
yeah. Now it's
minimized.
fine. It's fine. It's perfect.
Okay. Okay, so welcome you all for the today's webinar on patent drafting, all you need to know. So now in today's webinar, we will see how to draft a patent, which is a skill to learn. So here we are going to see what are the necessary things which you have to include in patent, because patent drafting has been becoming very important nowadays, because every country has to increase its IP strength to increase the economy of the country or to improvise the economy of the country. So though the short span of time will not allow us to go into all the details of patent drafting, but definitely I will try to cover the basic heads of patent drafting, which is a skill to learn, as I said. So when we are drafting a patent, you have to take it as a narrative in which the inventor has to tell entire story of your invention. Because after all, a well drafted patent defines the fate of the invention. So now after listening the credentials of our IPR team, you might be wondering that how the engineering faculties are delivering a webinar on such a topic which is not everybody's cup of tea. But let me tell you, this upliftment in the profile of our IPR team started when IPR cell was established in our institute. And we really express our deep gratitude towards the management and our principal, Dr. Bhavesh Patel sir, who always gave us excellent opportunities to undergo various trainings and workshops in government as well as private institutions. So this upliftment simultaneously occurred when previous year Mumbai University also offered a subject on IPR and patenting as an elective. So here again we took the opportunity to take this subject and we taught this subject to the students. Simultaneously, we attended several webinars, national symposium, and other institute workshops to improvise our skills in this field of IPR and patenting. Recently, I also completed DL001, which is a free course to learn about IPR and patenting to improvise our skills in IPR. So let me tell you the agenda for today's webinar. So right from the objectives of the patent specification, we will see the patent search databases, which was just covered by Kranti ma'am. I'll just give you the list of the free databases. Then we will see what all ingredients are there in the patent specification. We will see the essence of your application, that is nothing but the claim drafting. Then we'll also learn e-filing or online filing of the patents. And last but not the least, the important part and the interesting part for today's webinar will be the case study on one invention. So definitely there are takeaways for you. So these are the takeaways for you. At the end of this webinar, you will learn how to draft a patent individually. You will be able to search the patent databases. Then you will get acquainted yourselves with the different patent forms which you need to file. You will also know e-filing patent procedure. So let it be very clear in your mind that this patent is a techno-legal document. So we have to take care of both the aspects of this patent document, which involves technical part in the form of disclosure of your invention, which is disclosed to the public in the form of useful arts. And the other part of this techno-legal document are the claims, which are the essence of your patent application, which is a legal part and gives you exclusive right as an inventor. So forget everything, but there will be one question in your mind, obviously, boss, how much does a patent really cost? So yes, I'm giving cost, which is nothing but the government fee for patent applications. So when we go for filing an application as an individual inventor, the first form which we need to file is form number 1, which is called as patent application form. So it has to be filed at the time of filing the patent application with fee of rupees 1600. The second form which you have to file is form number 2, that will be called as complete specification or provisional specification form. Now in the earlier webinar by Dhanashree ma'am, we already know know that there are two types of forms which need to be filled at the time of applying for patent. So either we can go for provisional specification when the idea or the innovation has just incubated in your mind, or we can also go for complete specification if we are pretty sure that our prototype is ready and we can disclose it, we can get a grant for it, then we can go for complete specification. But suppose you have filed a provisional specification earlier, then within 12 months of filing of the provisional specification, you have to file a complete specification, which gives you exclusive right. So let me tell you, no fee is charged for this form. The third form which you need to file is the declaration of inventorship, which is called as form number 5. So it has to be filled when the complete specification or within 1 month of filing of the provisional or complete specification, you have to file the declaration of inventorship form. Again, no fee is charged for this. Now this is an optional form. Now, as told by Dhanashree ma'am, when we file a patent, it is kept secret in the database of Patent Office for 18 months. 18 months. So, after 18 months, the delivery is finished on the online journal by Indian Patent Office. On every Friday, a journal is published, and in that journal, they disclose your abstract, name of the applicants and inventors as a journal. So you have those 18 months for getting your invention published. Suppose you are in a hurry and you don't want to wait for those 18 months and you're pretty sure that you will be able to face the examination procedure right there. So you fill the request for early publication form, that is form 9. So it is a chargeable form because you're expediting the process of examination. So here, as an application, you have to pay rupees 2,500 for this form number 9. Now the mandatory form which you have to fill after or within 48 months from the date of filing of priority, whichever is earlier, is the request for examination form, that is form number 18. So this form needs to be filed within 48 months of filing your application. Otherwise, if you do not fill this RFE form, form number 18, then examination of your patent application will not take place. So here, this is a chargeable for rupees 4,000. So let me tell you that the actual cost of filing for an individual is 5,600 rupees if you are ready to wait for 18 months of publication, and plus 2,500 if you want to go for early publication. So in that case, the publication of your disclosure will be within 1 or 2 months. So this is how form number 1 appears. So here they give the name of the applicant we have to write, the nationality, address of the applicant, title of the invention, then address for correspondence. So this address for correspondence has to be written very carefully because after all, here itself the correspondence letters or mails will be sent. So here you have to give the email ID and the address properly. Then here there are declaration by the inventor, their sign and name continued with the declarations here. So this finishes form number 1. Form number 2, which is called as provisional specification form or complete specification form. So again on form number 2, on a cover page, we give the title of invention, we give the applicant's name, nationality and address. Then the very important part which decides whether the application is a provisional one or complete one is decided by the preamble of the description. So if it is a provisional one, the preamble is different, where we just describe the nature of the invention. And if it is a complete application or application, the inventor has to describe the nature as well as the manner in which the process or the product is to be performed. Then we include the description of your invention. We have the claims. After putting a signature and date on the claims, we have to write the abstract of the invention, which is nothing but the conclusion sort of thing for your application. So Just now we have seen there are two kinds of specification, which henceforth we will be calling as form number 2. So either it is a provisional one or complete specification. So again, let me remind you that you have to file the provisional specification when the idea is just incubated in your mind and you're not pretty sure that when your prototype will complete. So let us say about 10 months or 12 months, you're sure that within this time period, I will finish my prototype and I will be able to write the complete disclosure for my invention. Go for a provisional specification to protect your invention. The preamble which you have to write here is a standard format given under Patent Act 1970 is the following specification describes the nature of this invention. So this is how the cover page for provisional specification will appear, where you will write the title, the name of the applicant and the preamble. If you are pretty sure that your prototype has been completed and now you are able to go for complete disclosure of your invention, go for a complete specification. It is very necessary to get a complete specification filed to get a grant for a patent. Let me tell you, provisional specification will not give you grant for a patent. So when you have to get your patent granted, you have to file this complete specification. Yes, it must include claims because the claims are the legal part which give you exclusive right as an inventor. And see, the preamble here is pretty different than the preamble of provisional specification. So here you have to include the nature of the invention as well as the manner or the best method of performing the invention. So this is how the form number 2 for complete specification is appearing. So only different part in the cover page here is the preamble statement. So this statement is a standard format which we have to include. So be very careful. The complete specification you have to file within 12 months of filing the provisional specification and no fee is charged for this complete specification. So yes, now we have seen what are the 2 necessary forms which are to be filled while applying for a patent. But before you actually start drafting your application, what all things you really need to check? So first of all, obviously you have to conduct a patent search. Whether similar kind of matter or similar kind of invention already exists in the market. Are you wasting your time in again drafting the disclosure for that? Or can you modify something in your product or process so that it becomes novel or any advancement? We have to ensure that whether it falls under the patentability criteria of Indian Patent Act. So again, we will remind that the patentability criteria is it should have 3 criteria satisfied. So first one is it should be novel, it should have some technical advancement, and it should have some industrial or commercial use. So only then your patent is granted. Whether your invention is already published, because academicians, what we do is when we complete our research, we publish it in the journals or the research journals. So suppose you have done or you have an invention and you have published in the journal of research journal, then what you can do within 12 months of publication of your research, immediately you have to go for filing a patent. If those 12 months are lapsed, then you cannot go for patenting because then the material is already published. Then you have to ascertain whether you have to go for a complete one or a provisional one. Then you will enlist the problems which are existing in the prior art and how your invention is going to solve those problems. Is the solution provided by you an obvious one or it has some technical advancement? So yes, if it has a technical advancement, definitely you are in a chance to get a patent granted. Last but not the least, you have to verify whether your application doesn't fall under the non-patentability criteria underlined in section 3 and 4, which is already discussed by Dhanashree ma'am in the earlier webinar. So now when we go for a patent search, as Kranti ma'am has told, we have to use some keywords to search our existing patents. So this is the list for the patent search databases, and let me tell you, all these databases are free to use. So you have to type IPC, that is International Patent Code, if you are well versed with the things, or you can just type the keywords which are similar to your invention or which describe your invention very clearly. Type those keywords, and similar types of patents which are already existing in market will be appearing in these databases. Yes, the very important thing which you have to look at is the essential ingredients of complete specification. So what all elements or what all things should be there in your patent application? So first and the most important thing is the title. So the title should describe each and every aspect of your application. It should describe the crux of your invention, and it should also be taken, the care has to be taken to incorporate each and everything which you are claiming in your application. Then the next field which you will define is the technical field, which you will describe totally in a technical manner within a paragraph or so. Then you will acknowledge the prior art by stating the drawbacks of the prior art, and then you will also state the advantages over the prior art which your invention is going to give. Then you will describe the drawings. You will take help of drawings or patent illustrations to describe your patent. Then you will describe the drawing in detail. You will give some examples, because as I have told you earlier that to get a patent granted, it should have some industrial application or commercial use. So if it has some commercial use, obviously you have to give some examples in the disclosure. Now the legal part for our application starts, where we start drafting the claims. So claim can be a single claim or there can be plurality of claims. Yes, you can take help of the drawings to describe the claims. And lastly, we have to state the abstract, which is nothing but a conclusion for our application. So before we start drafting, we have to look at some of the provisions which are made in Indian Patent Act of 1970, which defines some rules or acts, or which gives some standard formats to write our disclosure. Because as I told you, this is a techno-legal document and we have to take help of those legal rules. So a complete specification always starts with page 1 as a cover page, where we write the title of the invention, which should not be more than 15 words as stated in the law. We have to give name, address and nationality of the applicant, and then it must include the standard statement for the preamble which we have seen in earlier slide. Page 2 and onwards, our disclosure starts. So first we have to write the field of the invention. Then we will write the background of the invention. Now what we have to write in the background is, first of all, you have to state the unsolved problems which are there in the literature. You have to write that how this prior art is not solving the already existing problems and how your invention is going to solve those problems. The best practice is always to include some experiments or some already existing patent applications as an example to include in your application. So next thing we will see is the claim, which is the essence of your document. So lastly, on a fresh page, you should start drafting the claims. So single application allows you to write maximum 30 claims, that is maximum 30 and why drawings are important? Because a picture is worth 1,000 words. So the patent also says that at least one drawing or should be included in the patent application. The best way to get a strong and better application is to include enough number of drawings in your application. Yes, there are many softwares, online softwares available to get your. So here you have to start on a A4 size blank sheet to get these drawings done. I will recommend you to use Autodesk Fusion 360, which is a free to use online patent drawing software, which will enable you to draw 2D as well as 3D drawings. There are other paid softwares also like Corel Draw is there, FreeCAD is there, but I would recommend that this is enough for 2D and 3D drawings of your product or your process. Lastly, we have to include the abstract on a separate sheet. Again, there is a statement here which is very important, that the abstract should not be more than 150 words. So as I told you, there are some technical as well as legal aspects which we have to take care of. So in drawings, we have to take care of these three things. That when we draw something as our illustration of patent, we have to have these things done. So in the left hand top corner, the name of the applicant should appear. In the right hand top corner, the number of sheets of the drawings and the sheet number should appear. In the right hand bottom corner, the signature of the applicant or his agent should appear. So here I have one example for you. So here, this example I have taken from a recently expired patent from Intel Corporation. So this is a PCT application, as you can see in the top left corner of this sheet. So it was filed in 2001 and at Mumbai IPO. In the top right corner, you can see the number of sheets are written with the current number of the sheet. And in the bottom right corner, you can see sign of the applicant is appearing. See how the drawings are made. Each drawing is given a figure number. There is no dimension mentioned on the drawing sheet. So it is stated in the law that you should not include any dimension. There should not be any descriptive matter written on the drawing sheet. Only you have to number the figures and you have to include the reference numerals. So you can see there are many numbers listed here or shown here which describe or which indicate each and every part of the product. So next thing is for the abstract. Again, law states that there are certain things which we have to take care of. So the abstract shall contain concise summary of the matter contained in the specification, and this summary shall indicate clearly the technical field with which the invention belongs. Then the technical advancement of the invention as compared to the existing knowledge and principal use of the invention, excluding any speculative use, to be taken care of. And if the invention belongs to any chemical process or a chemical compound, then we can take help or we can include that chemical formula in the abstract of the invention. And let me tell you that the only invention which cannot contain a patent illustration or need not contain a patent illustration or patent drawing will be the invention belonging to chemical formula. So this is one example I have taken for you. So this I have taken from the patent journal, which is published in June 2020. So you can see here the date of filing the application is April 2020 and the publication date you can see here is June, that is 5th June 2020. So it is very clear that this applicant has filed an application for early publication of their disclosure. So within 1 or 2 months the publication is done. They have written the title of the invention. Then there is IPC code mentioned. So as Dhanashree ma'am told, as soon as we file the application, it is categorized in different fields. So if it belongs to mechanical field, chemical field, or so on, the particular number or classification code is given to the application. Then you can see the name of the applicants and the name of the inventors over here. And the very important thing which I want to show here is the abstract. Below the abstract, you can see number of pages and number of claims. So if you are afraid that, yes, I am giving this disclosure entirely to the Indian Patent Office, and if they are publishing it to the public, which is available online, then how it is protected? No, a complete no for the complete disclosure of your invention. So only this much which is seen in the slide is available for the public. So the only abstract thing will be available to the public in the Journal of Indian Patent Office, which is published on every Friday. So in this abstract, you can see there are some numbers written. So these numbers are the reference numerals which are corresponding to the patent illustrations in the complete disclosure. So again, there are some conditions mentioned for the description. Like the description should be stated in clear and intelligent language about the invention so that the others may know about the monopoly of the inventor. It should disclose the manner in which the invention has to be performed so that others may know after the patent is expired, others may know that how to carry out the invention without doing further experimentation. And when the patent is alive, if anybody performs similar action and then marketize their product, it is called as patent infringement. So now here we are there to start with the legal part of our document, that is claim, which is called as a statutory requirement. So before we start claim drafting, let me give you 2 tips here. The first and very important tip here is always bear in mind that there exists a pre-grant opponent for your patent and what he would do if he looked at your draft. The second tip is, if you have kept this in mind, then you will include only those claims which the prior art allows you to do, and then you will also look at your invention rigorously. So this is very important to note. Now, a claim which is a statutory requirement is to be included in every complete specification which is defined in section 10(4)(c) of Indian Patent Act. The claim must define the scope of your invention for which you are seeking protection. So what are the objectives of these claims? The first objective is to define the exclusive right, that is the monopoly required for the patent. It should be clear and precise. It should define the scope of the invention, to define various necessary and preferred optional features of the invention where to get claims. It should limit but not extend the monopoly being granted beyond the inventive field. So now we have seen that what is claim, but now what should be the content of claim, that what all things it should contain. So a claim should relate to a single invention. If at all I have many inventions for my same product, I have to go for additional one, or I can go for a separate application also, that is described in section 10(5). Now the claim should be very clear and succinct. It should be based on the matter disclosed in the specification, and here we have the 2 types of claims. There are many types actually, but we will not go into detail of each and everything. We'll cover the basic 2 types, which is the principal claim. That is the first claim when you start drafting is called as a principal claim or an independent claim. The second or the next claims will be called as subordinate claims or dependent claims or multiple dependent claims. We'll see the example to get it clear. So the very important thing again we have to remember here is claim 1 is a principal claim, must be written in a single sentence, but it may contain other punctuation marks also. The principal claim should be an independent claim. So the types of claims which we have seen, first is the independent claim. So here is an example for you. You can write like a process for preparation of compound A from compound B comprising. So this word comprising comes here. The second type is dependent or multiple dependent claim. So here you can write the sentence like a process as claimed in claim 1 wherein. So here this claim is dependent on claim 1. A process as claimed in claim 1 and 4 wherein. So this is a multiple dependent claim because it depends on claim number 1 and 4. So you can always make use of such words like comprising, wherein, according to. So this is the standard format for the claim. When you start drafting the claim, you have to write first statement as I/V claim, and it should be a single sentence. So I will read this particular claim for you. apparatus for shaking articles, which comprises a container for articles, comma, a base, comma, a plurality of parallel legs, comma, each leg is connected pivotally at one end to the container and at the other end to the base to support the container for oscillating moment with respect to the base and means for oscillating the container on the legs to shake the article. So see how big sentence or how long sentence is this, but they have made use of punctuation marks because the law states that the principal claim should be written in a single sentence. So you can make use of words like comprising, comprises, consisting or means for. So as it is a legal document, we have to avoid certain formats which will make your application a bad application. So we have to avoid certain formats which are listed here. So do not write such claim like I claim some reward or I claim the following advantages or I claim to be the inventor of this appliance. A complete no for this. So now let me tell you that as the claims describe the legal aspect of your invention, which gives you exclusive right as an inventor, you should not lose any aspect of your exclusive right. So you have to claim each and everything which belongs to your invention and which the prior art allows you to do. If you lose any aspect, then there will be another inventor who will write claim for that particular thing. So you will lose your market value for the same product because anything which is not claimed remains disclaimed. So yes, now we have learned that what are the different types of claims, how the application has to be written, what are the different formats specified in Indian Patent Act. But now the obvious question which will be there in everybody's mind is how to file the application. So yes, there are two ways with which you can file your application. So the first method or the traditional one is to go for physical filing at the patent office. So the patent offices are situated at 4 corners of our country at Delhi, Chennai, Kolkata and Mumbai. So physically you yourself as an inventor can go there and file the application, or you can take help of patent attorneys or patent lawyers or a legal representative if you are ready to pay rupees 50,000 to 1 lakh rupees for filing your application, whereas the actual cost of filing we have seen is not beyond 6,000 to 7,000 rupees. The second and the easiest way which is available nowadays is e-filing or electronic filing of the patent. So this e-filing is always promoted by the Indian Patent Office, which was launched in July 2007, and the second version of this e-filing came around in December 2012. So at our end, what we should keep ready when we are applying for this e-filing. So the disclosures which we have to upload online should be in PDF form. The drawings have to be saved in JPEG form. The maximum data size should not be more than 15 MB, and for the payment of the fees with respect to the patent forms can be made on net banking. Yes, but there is one thing which you require before you go for e-filing is the digital signature. So you have to acquire a digital signature to apply for a patent. So how to go for it? So digital signature online also you can apply. Within a week or two you will get the digital signature at your end. So these are the vendors to whom you can approach online, provide the necessary documents like Aadhaar card or your identity card or proof of your identity, and you pay it for it, and then the digital signature will be available for you. So how much it costs? So suppose you go for a 1 year validity digital signature, it costs you around 700 to 800 rupees. And if you go for 3 years validity of digital signature, it will cost around 1600 rupees. So you log on to this website www.ipindia.nic.in, and this web page will be there to serve you for e-filing. So there is a tab for comprehensive e-filing. Click on the tab and now you are into e-filing of patent applications. So this is the website for Indian Patent Office. So here you can see this RGNIIPM on the top right corner. So here our principal allowed us and encouraged us to go for a 1 week exclusive training for patenting. Just below that, you can see the journals tab. So these are the journals which are available for common public on every Friday. So this filing procedure is as simple as that. Get the digital signature, have your online banking credentials with you, register online on the website, then log in with the user ID and password along with your digital signature. Select the form which you want to fill, enter the necessary details. You can always save your form for later changes too. You can preview your document also. Then you digitally sign the drafted form, select the payment gateway, make online payment and submit the transaction details to IPO. You're done with it and your e-receipt you can print online. So now what are the facilities provided by the government for e-filing of the patent? So the government, as I said, always promotes e-filing of the application, and that's why they have given 10% fee reduction for online filing as compared to physical filing of the patents. The second facility which is given is the request for expedition can be made only through e-filing of the patents. So now the question which must have arrived immediately in your mind is how to expedite the examination. So yes, there are some facilities given here also. Suppose you are an inventor and you have your own startup, or in your inventor team there is a female candidate. So in either of these cases, you can request for expediting the examination, which is possible only through e-filing procedure. So this is how you can select the forms which are available on the online filing of patent, fill the form, and after you upload your document, here you can see the status of your application online. You can view your draft, you can see in what status they are, whether you have filled a complete one or a provisional one. Suppose sometimes you forget, you have filled a provisional and within 12 months you have not filled the complete specification, then there will be email sent by the IPO reminding you that you have not filled the complete specification. So yes, this is the beauty of online filing, that they will remind you, but for physical filing there won't be any reminders as such, and we cannot rely on the physical letters. So now we are into the very interesting part of today's webinar, that is the case study on drafting a complete specification for a foldable pen. So now you will wonder that a foldable pen is patented. Yes, patenting is not only for the rocket science. You can patent each and every novel thing which has some technical advancement and which has some industrial use. So each and everything, like a safety pin to a hair clip to curtains, everything is patented in this world. So we will start with the foldable pen case study. So this is the cover page of it. So here we write the title of a foldable pen, we write the applicant's name, address and nationality, and the standard structure of preamble for a complete specification has to be included in the cover page. So this is the drawing sheet made for this foldable pen. So you can see there are no dimensions written. On the top right corner, there are number of sheets given and the current sheet number is given. Then there are various reference numerals given for this product, and at the bottom right corner you can see the sign of the applicant is coming. Now this is the next drawing. So you can see each and every aspect of the invention has to be covered so as to give you exclusive right as an inventor. So the next thing which you have to start with in your application is the field of invention. So this is technical part in which you will describe the advantages of your invention with respect to the prior art. So it can be in a paragraph or so. Next thing is background of the invention. So here you will acknowledge the literature which is with respect to your invention, which is already existing in literature. You will state the disadvantages of prior art in this background part. Then in the summary of the invention, you will state advantages of the prior art. So how your work is better and how your work is solving the problems which are present in the prior art, that has to be told. Then you will write the statement of invention, which is verbatim to claim 1. Now verbatim means word to word same. So you can write the statement of the invention, which is word to word same as that of your principal claim. Next thing which you have to see is the brief description of the accompanying drawings. So first of all, you describe the drawings briefly. So how they have described it briefly? They have just given the figure numbers and with a single statement they have described it briefly. Then the next and the very important thing is to write detailed description of your product. So this is like a narrative which you have to explain to the examiner, to the controller, that how you are giving full disclosure of your invention. So here you can see lot of reference numerals they have used to describe each and every aspect of your invention. So here you have to describe each and every part of your invention. And lastly, the very important part of our techno-legal document, that are claims. So here the first claim you can see. The first claim or the principal claim is an independent claim. So here the first claim itself is divided into 3 parts. So I will read it for you. A foldable pen comprising. So see how they have used the words. Part A, a flat body of quadrilateral shape molded to form 2 longitudinal depressions, said depressions acting as hinges and defining 3 panels, comma, such that the body may assume 2 distinct shapes, comma, either a virtually flat quadrilateral object, comma, or comma, when folded at its hinges, comma, a prism, semicolon. So see, you have to make it a single sentence and you can make use of the punctuation marks always. The B part describes a hollow reservoir located in one of the panels for storing and dispensing the ink, and part C, a writing tip extending into the reservoir dispensing the ink. So see, in a single sentence of principal claim, they have touched each and every aspect of their invention. The next claims, which are claims from point number 2 onwards, are the dependent claims or multiple dependent claims. So here we can have preferred embodiments for writing these dependent claims. So I'll read example for point 4 for you. So a foldable pen as claimed in claim 2 or claim 3, wherein each panel is tapered and folded construction forms a truncated pyramid. So see, this is a multiple dependent claim which is dependent on claim number 2 and 3. So what you have described in claim number 2 and 3, with respect to that, you have to again touch another aspect of your invention. So it becomes a multiple dependent claim. So now this is claim number 8, which is called as an omnibus claim. So I'll read it for you. A foldable pen substantially as herein described with reference to the accompanying drawings. So now you will ask me, what is this omnibus claim? Actually, omnibus is a Latin word. The meaning is for everything. So suppose you have forgotten to touch some aspect of your invention, but you have included it in your drawings or your disclosure, but you forget to mention it in the claims. Okay, so the sole purpose of writing this omnibus claim at the end is to ensure that you have not missed out any aspect of your invention and your drawings and your disclosure comes within the scope of the claims. Okay, so this is a standard and best practice to include this omnibus claim at the end. So after you finish writing the claims, you can put a date, sign over there as an applicant, and then you can include the abstract on a new sheet. Okay, so this is how you have to draft your application, starting with the cover page and ending with claims followed by the abstract. So now, towards the end of this webinar, I would like to tell you is that the overall success or the goals behind taking webinars, such webinars on IPR and patenting will be achieved only if we are able to improvise the statistics which are shown in this slide. So together we will try to improvise the statistics. Here it is seen that India at what level of IP strength it is. So it is a survey taken from Economic Times in October 2019. It states in India there were only 46,600 applications filed, and out of that only 12,000 to 13,000 patent grants are there in a country of 1.37 billion people. So now it is our responsibility to improvise the IP strength of our country so that the economic strength, which is now at par, which is now weakened, we can improvise. Because I believe that nothing is impossible if we say, I am possible. So thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you all the audiences. Stay healthy, stay connected, and you can always contact us on these email IDs, myself and IPR Cell. Thanking you all the best for your future prospects.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an informative session on IPR. Now it's a question and answer round. So I think questions will be answered by any of the speakers of us. First
Yes.
question is, do we have to renew the granted patent every year?
Yes. Shall I answer this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Asha
Okay,
ma'am, you answer.
okay. So yes, it has to be renewed when your grant for patent has been come. Then before the expiry of 2 years, you have to get your patent renewed. You have to pay 800 rupees for that renewal, and then every year after those expiry of 2 years, you have to get it renewed. So it has to be renewed till it is alive. So the patent is alive for 20 years. So every year you have to pay the renewal charges.
I think other speakers can also have a light on this question.
To
So,
add to this, I would like to say just like we pay a property tax, so the value of our property goes on increasing, but we pay a property tax say, after every 6 months of for 1 year. Okay, although it is a liability, but it adds to the asset also. So yes, this fees is there. And to add it, like IP, intellectual property, is as good as our property. But when we buy a property, someone else makes it and we actually buy it. But here we have an opportunity for the intellectual. You can have your property without actually buying it by thinking it. If it could come to your brain, you could identify a problem and solve it. You would be owning a property which would earn to you to your legal heirs in lot future. Thank you, sir.
thank you, ma'am. Second question is, can I write the claims before I start the description?
Asha ma'am, again, you would like to take it?
Yeah. So yes, there are two approaches of describing the claims. The first approach is you can write the claims first and then you go for description of your product. And in second approach, you can write the description of your invention first and then you can draft the claims from the disclosure. So both the approaches are possible. Thank you, sir.
Uh, Anyone wants to talk? Yeah, continue with the
No,
next
no,
question.
ma'am has. We can go for the next question, sir.
Okay. Participant asked, the patents are granted for 20 years for prototypes. Is that correct? Is that right?
Asha ma'am, you would like to take? Or
Uh,
Dhanesh ma'am, you would like? Dhanesh ma'am, you're not audible.
from the date that you file your patent, that date is taken as the first date. From that date till the patent is granted. So even if your patent takes 4 years or 5 years to be granted, if 1st January 2020 is the actual and probably your patent is granted in the year of June 1st Jan 2024. So from 2020 till 40. So this is the lifespan of your patent. 1st Jan 2020 to 1st Jan 2040. So in this period, even if your patent is granted, we take the date as the date of filing your patent. From the date of filing till 20 years, that's the life shelf of your patent.
After which you can still produce the good, the work, whatever it is, but it is open to public. So for those 20 years, you have a monopoly. No one else can do it. But after that 20 years, even others could do. A very nice example is Gillette blades. So they had a monopoly of those types of blades. For 20 years, they enjoyed the monopoly. Now everyone else has started producing similar blades, and that is why the cost has gone little bit low. But earlier, it was only Gillette blades who were making that types of blades. Yeah, thank you, Bhushan.
Okay. Next question is what is the duration? Okay, that is done actually. What are there any charges for the patent opposition? Are there any charges for patent opposition?
Asha ma'am, would you like to take this?
Yes, so there are charges for patent opposition also. So there are two types of oppositions which can be made, either a pre-grant opposition or a post-grant opposition. And both the oppositions, if somebody has to file, then they have to pay certain fees for the opposition. So it is chargeable. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you all the speakers for the wonderful session throughout. Now it's a time for the certificates will be presented to as a token of appreciation. Please accept the certificate from us. Thank you
Thank you
all the
so much.
speakers for your time.
Thank
Now,
you, sir.
thank you.